Now, Sports Central, presented by Table Mountain Casino.
All right, welcome to this special edition of Facebook Live, Bulldog Football Extra. We've been calling it that all year long, and this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
Because the Dogs are coming off a historic win over Boise State. And you were there. What was it like?
I don't even know if it's sunk in yet. It was pure joy. It was pure just exhilaration after that win. A very well-played football game, a tough physical game in some elements, but 17 years in the making, finally a big-time win on that ugly blue field. It's a football memory. Even though I wasn't playing or coaching, it's a memory that being there watching Ronnie Rivers cross that goal line, I will never forget. One of the funnest football moments that I've ever had.
I was watching in my living room, and I'll never forget where I was because I was in my living room. But yeah, it was cool. It was a cool moment. And you had kind of a fun call, Jessica, in the control room there. Let's cue up the Bulldogs win radio call, A1, and let's take a listen.
On the right side, Rivers the tailback. Shotgun snap, McMarion pitches to Rivers, the option. Got it! Touchdown! Ronnie Rivers!
Yeah, baby! Let's go!
Well, just like Pat Hill and Cameron Worrell are cheering on the broadcast, the Bulldogs go bananas in Boise. Ronnie Rivers on an option pitch into the end zone to win it for Fresno State in overtime.
Yeah, baby.
Objective handbook when it comes to broadcasting a game, right? The impartial handbook, but I loved it. Yeah, baby, right?
Yeah, that was pure emotion. There was no professionalism. There was no I'm on the radio, I'm gonna hold back. That was pure joy watching Fresno State beat Boise State on that blue turf. You heard the thrill in Pat Hill's voice. He couldn't contain himself. Once he saw Ronnie Rivers was going into the end zone, he was yelling touchdown. I could not contain myself. That moment was so emotional for me, and I know so many former players, so many Fresno State fans have waited so long. And if you've been on social media this week, there are so many videos of fan reactions that they echoed what Coach Hill and I did on the air. So, it feels like we had the valley behind us, or we were expressing what the valley was feeling as they watched Ronnie Rivers run into that end zone.
Yeah, speaking of those fan reactions watching the game, if you go to yourcentralvalley.com, I ran it at 6 o'clock tonight in sports. You can see what it looked like in the Bemis household, actually, when the Dogs won. And you could also see video of what it looked like a month ago when the Bulldogs lost in Boise, and how my 5-year-old son reacted, who had to go to sleep with the Bulldogs winning and then woke up with the Bulldogs losing. So go to yourcentralvalley.com and check that out. Now,
your son's reaction to the loss was priceless, by the way. So
heartbreaking.
Go and watch that.
You're going to need some tissues, I think, for that one. Before we get into the game in review and the 10 game-changing plays from Boise State, I want to remind you guys this is a Facebook Live thing. We'd love it to be interactive, so send your questions, your comments if you have them. We'll try to get to as many questions and comments as we have. Probably get to a lot of those near the end of this little impromptu broadcast. All right, so let's go to that first full screen, the game notes full screen, and show you how it all played out, some of the key numbers from this game. Bulldogs beat the Broncos 19-16 in overtime. I think I said here last week I thought it would be a low-scoring game. Didn't expect a full blizzard to break out, so that was helpful in keeping it low-scoring, but it did turn out to be a very low-scoring game as the Bulldogs pulled out. Snapped a 10-game losing streak in Boise, of course, the first win since the blue turf was installed in 1986. Total yardage, Boise State did have the total yardage edge, but Fresno State made the plays when they counted most. Third Mountain West Championship for Fresno State. That's pretty impressive, Cam, considering they've only been in the conference for 7 years now, I think?
2012 was the first season. They won back-to-back 2012, 2013, and this is their first since 2013, but big time to get it done, really on the standard holder or the top team in the Mountain West historically, and the WAC back when I played Boise State. Big time win.
And then in the 11th win for this team this year, 6th time in program history they've done that. Now, as you see there, this team is on the verge of a little history, because if they can win in that Las Vegas Bowl against Arizona State, it's going to be their 12th win, and it will set a new standard for Fresno State football. And that would be pretty cool.
That's big time.
Yeah.
I mean, Fresno State has had a lot of successful seasons. We won 11 in 2001. Derek Carr won 11 in 2013. Never 11-0-1 back in '85. Never has a Fresno State football team won 12 games in a season. It's already an historic season. They've tied the most wins in a Fresno State football season. They win a Mountain West title on the road in Boise. They finally slay that dragon. Now they really have an opportunity to put their name on every season record book there is. It's a big-time opportunity next Saturday against Arizona State.
I see that the comments and the couple questions are starting to roll in, so we're going to get to a few of those at the end of the show. Let's kind of rip through some of this stuff here. Each week, I like to profile some of the ballers from Saturday night, especially on the Fresno State side. Bemis' ballers, as we like to call it, if we could fire that up there and take a look at some of the individual performances of note from Saturday night. Ronnie Rivers, 17 carries. There you see it, the 63 yards. But the most important play, maybe in Bulldog history, who knows, the game-winning TD in overtime. Marcus McMaryion, 20 of 32, 170 passing yards. Also ran for 40 yards in this one. Really, it was up to Marcus once it started snowing and getting really ugly out there just not to make a big mistake, right?
Yeah, I think that was first and foremost on his mind. He usually plays a more ball-conscious game, but especially Saturday night, he was not going to make a mistake to give Boise State a short field.
And defensively, Michael Walker was just an animal. 11 tackles. The sack, a couple tackles for loss, also recovered a fumble as well. I mean, he is developing into a heck of a player, and he'll be back next year, right?
He will be back. It's pretty exciting because no Fresno State player has improved more from game 1 to game 13 than Michael Walker. Those first couple games, he was just getting used to being a Division I football player, and now he's in the backfield. He's getting off blocks. He's dropping in coverage, sometimes dropping picks, but making plays on the football. He's come so far. I can't wait to see how much he develops this offseason.
Well, he's a defensive end, so he's allowed to drop picks, right?
Yeah, he is. More so than DB's drop it, it's a travesty.
Okay.
Defensive lineman, you can give him a pass for that.
He's a defensive lineman, but he kind of looks like a linebacker or a big safety out there,
right.
To be honest with you. All right, my favorite part of our little Facebook Live segment each week, the 10 game-changing plays from the Boise State game on Saturday night, and we start with play number 1. And it's a Boise State mistake, a Brett Ritton fumble that really got things going for the Dogs.
Yeah, it gave them a short field, a possession right at the 20-yard line. And we saw Fresno State had trouble moving the ball. They had trouble putting touchdowns on the board. This is their only touchdown of the game. And, I mean, this is early. Brett Ritton is a guy who he grew up in Washington. He's lived in Idaho. He's played a lot of football in these elements, just didn't secure the football. When you watch it, at first glance, you think maybe it's going to be an incomplete pass because his hand was moving forward, but the ball had already slipped out of his hand when that arm went forward. So a huge break for Fresno State early.
And that's the easiest fumble recovery Michael Walker's ever going to get. All right, so here we go. First quarter, Marcus McMaryion to Micaiah Quick, game-changing play number 2, and the Dogs get on the board.
Yeah, this is man coverage. Micaiah Quick was lined up against Nawahine, the safety. This is easy for Micaiah Quick. He just gives a little head fake inside, runs a corner route. Marcus steps into the throw. Great protection by that offensive line, but I mean, this is as easy as it gets against a very good Boise defense. Happy for Micaiah Quick, too. Came back, transferred from Oklahoma. His first touchdown as a Bulldog was the only touchdown until Ronnie Rivers scored one in overtime. Big-time play for Micaiah Quick. I'm so happy for him. Had a couple of I'm sure we'll see a couple of errors later, but I was happy for him when he scored that touchdown.
Yeah, Micaiah, a couple fumbles later. We actually didn't put those in the game-changing plays, but you know what? I'm going to remember this touchdown from Micaiah because the Bulldogs won, right? You know? So that's what we'll remember. All right, ensuing possession, 3rd and 9 from the 10, and this is when you thought, okay, maybe there is something to this Boise weirdness that goes on with Fresno State because it's Brett Ritton, Deshaun Monster, game-changing play number 3, and this should have been a pick by Jaron Bryant.
It did. I think Pat Hill even said, oh, it's picked from the box. It just goes right through Jaron Bryant. He's in perfect position. He's doing exactly what DBs need to do. When a receiver is in the end zone, play underneath them. There's no space for them to stretch the field. He put himself in position, but just didn't come up with the catch. If he even knocks that one down, Boise has to kick a field goal. Maybe Matt Boateng blocks that one. You never know. But this was a missed opportunity for Fresno State to get off the field, and an exceptional effort by Sean Modster to catch that one.
Let's give him some credit there.
And keep a foot in bounds. Because at first glance, I thought there's no way he kept that foot in, and he did. Big time play from him.
And this is when the elements really started becoming a factor too. Kind of as we approached halftime, it turned into a real blizzard. There was some snow flurries out there, and kind of a combination, right, of rain and snow, and then it really kind of started unloading. So late second quarter here, it's still 7-7. Game-changing play number 4. That's what made this really impressive. It's an Asa Fuller 44-yard field goal. How did he make this?
I don't know. I was watching. I couldn't see the ball. I didn't know if it went through or not, but. Asa Fuller's had a lot of struggles this year, especially outside of 40 yards. And for him to step up and drill this one, it was literally a blizzard coming down towards the end of that second quarter. And he looks calm. He looks cool. He looks comfortable like he does kicking them inside of 40 yards, kicking this 44-yarder in this blizzard. I mean, these 2 field goals were the reason Fresno State got to overtime. So got to give Asa Fuller a ton of credit for making that kick.
Nice, yeah. Ensuing Broncos possession then, Cam. 2nd and 10 at the Bulldog 44. You're here. You're a defensive guy. I always got to get some defense in there. We mentioned Michael Walker, the defensive MVP of the game. Well, he comes up with a big sack because Boise's driving, and points are at a premium in this game. This is game-changing play number 5. Michael Walker getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, just beats the guard. You know, Michael Walker's versatile. You said he almost looks like a linebacker or a safety. They line him up. You know, they stand him up a lot. They let him drop into coverage. They try to mess with protection. He gets one-on-one with an interior lineman here and just beats him. Sacks Brett Rippon, almost gets the ball out. I think Brett Rippon just pulls it in right at the last second, but that's the type of versatility an athlete like Michael Walker has. And, you know, that play was one of the reasons why he was the player of the game for the Mountain West Championship.
We mentioned Asa Fuller. He would add another field goal to make it 13-7, and I see that Ricky Vance here in one of his comments is calling Fuller the MVP of the game, and I think that's legitimate.
Yeah.
As we move on to game-changing play number 6, it's the other kicker who makes an appearance here. Whereas Fuller was making kicks, Hayden Hogarth, well, he misses one from 43 yards.
Yeah, and it wasn't close. And I'm not sure if we'll look at the end zone view, but if you see the end zone view, you see Matt Boateng, just like he did when he blocked the extra point, come off the edge. And had this kick been true, had this originally been on path to go through the uprights, I think Matt Boateng blocks this one as well. And you see him flying in right at the end there. Had it been straight, he would have blocked it. And I think Hogarth pulled it a little bit because he saw Matt Boateng coming through. So another impact play from Matt Boateng. We know the extra point, but this one as well, I think it affected Hogarth's ability to be accurate because he was right in his face when he kicked that football.
So that would have made it 13-10 if that had gone through. And as we get to game-changing play number 7, it's another Boise State touchdown. Alex Madison, who was a beast in this game, getting in from 34 yards out. So because of that field goal missed, this doesn't give Boise the lead.
Right. Yeah, you said it. Points were at a premium. When you had an opportunity to score points Saturday night, you had to cash in. Fresno State did it. Boise State did not. That was the difference in the game. But this is Alex Madison. This is Tank Kelly's tackle to make. He's the free player as the unblocked corner. He has to make that play. If not, there's nobody else there. And we saw Juju Hughes make a great effort play to try to get him down. But, I mean, Alex Madison is big and he has speed. When he gets a hole, he can accelerate. He is an NFL running back, and you saw that on this 34-yard run.
Yeah, good blocking there by the Broncos as well. And you started to get kind of a weird feeling if you're a Bulldog fan, because it was looking eerily reminiscent to last year's Mountain West Championship game where the Bulldogs led late into the fourth quarter and then the Broncos got a touchdown. But you know what? On the very next play, Matt Boateng, like you mentioned, says, nope, that's not going to happen again, because game-changing play number 8, maybe the biggest block extra point in the history of Fresno State football.
No question. No question. You see him right here coming off the left side, and watch the wing. The wing blocks down. He does not put his arm out. The usual technique for a wing on the edge is to put one hand down and the other hand has to go out. As you see Matt Boateng run this corner, he's very tight to the wing and he's able to come flat down the line of scrimmage. That's how you block a field goal. That's how you block an extra point, which is even more difficult. It was a technique mistake by Boise State, was seen by this Fresno State coaching staff on film, and they exploited it with Matt Boateng, by far the biggest block kick in Fresno State history.
I agree. All right, that gets us to game-changing play number 9, because this game would go to overtime thanks to Boateng. And after Boise State gets a field goal on their possession, this was a huge play. The little tight end screen underneath, the delay screen to Jared Rice for 16 big yards on 2nd and 10.
This was huge. This set him up 1st and goal inside the 10. And, this was a play that they held in their playbook for a red zone opportunity because Boise State, they play a lot of 3 deep. They play some man. In the red zone, they play quarters. So there's a safety with his eyes on Jared Rice. Once he sees Jared Rice stand up, he expands somewhere else. And you see Nawahine coming in late to try to make that tackle. Because Jared Rice delayed, he gets his eyes off him, and he's late coming back. A well-designed play and a perfect time to make that call. And once Jared Rice gets the ball, he's going to make some positive things happen.
All right, so then Ronnie Rivers takes it down to the 1. Then things get a little dicey again. There's some timeouts. Yep. There's some stuff going on. But here we go. 3rd and goal at the 1. Game-changing play number 10. The option to Ronnie Rivers. Yeah, baby!
Just like everybody drew up. The speed option on 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line. What was so impressive, if you watch Marcus McMaryion, he actually gives a zone read fake just for a split second, and Ronnie Rivers takes a counter step to sell that zone read as well. Everybody's thinking 1-yard line zone read's coming. They fake the zone read. Everybody crashes, and then Curtis Weaver hits Marcus right as he pitches that ball, is able to deliver a great pitch. Ronnie secures it. Once Ronnie gets it, it's a foot race to the pylon, and you knew Ronnie Rivers was not going to be denied that touchdown. But just like we were talking about that wide delay, this was a play specifically designed for a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and goal short opportunity, and Fresno State executed it to perfection.
What was the most memorable thing you saw on the field during that celebration?
Probably Isaiah Johnson making snow angels, right? Right about the 20-yard line. I did see a few players, I don't remember who, but a couple defensive linemen, they literally sprinted from Fresno State sideline to the middle of the field and just did a Pete Rose slide on that Boise snow turf. So there was a lot going on. I was hugging everybody that I could find on that sideline. Terry Toomey, all the boosters that were there. I mean, everybody was hugging everybody. It was just a pure exhilaration for a time on that Boise State white turf. Turned it white, got a win.
Yeah, that's the greatest irony about this whole thing. And speaking of that white turf, I cut a little collection of shots of the weather when it was at its worst, right? And if we can run this, and as you mentioned, the field kind of eventually turned white, ironically enough, because for years we've been saying you can't see Boise State on the blue turf.
Yep.
Maybe Boise couldn't see Fresno on the white turf, right?
Hey, it looked a lot better white than it does blue. Let me tell you that. But this is Chicago weather. It's coming down. It's sticking on the turf, and it was raining at the beginning. It turned to snow in the 2nd quarter, and it started to accumulate. You saw the Boise groundspeople just scraping the yard markers and the hash marks, and it kind of slowed down in the 2nd half. But for a large part of that 2nd quarter, it was coming down, and there were a few balls thrown right at me as I was standing in the north end zone. I couldn't see them until they were really close. So a lot of well-played football in some elements that made it really difficult to have visibility. And it's coming down. That's a blizzard. That's a snowstorm right there, and Fresno State offensively did a good job just hanging on to the football. Outside of those 2 Mekhi Quick fumbles, they did a good job protecting the football for most of the night.
Yeah, I think the elements, considering what they were, is part of the reason that this game will be remembered so fondly as well. Because anytime you get a crazy snow game or a crazy weather game, people just can't turn their eyes off of it, right? And that was the case here. And I think maybe in a weird way, the weather might have helped Fresno State.
It looked like it on the field. Fresno State just looked more comfortable than Boise State did. And it's funny because it's cold in Boise, it snows in Boise, it rains, you get some sleep. Those are elements that they practice in, that they play in more often than Fresno State does. But I think if Fresno State had the choice between a shootout and a defensive battle, they're taking a defensive battle 100 times out of 100, and this lined up to be a defensive battle. Madison got rolling, but that defense, when they needed to keep Boise out of the end zone, were able to get it done. So I thought they adapted to it extremely well.
Yeah, some comments here. Joey Paredes saying, "Go Dogs." I was at the Pizza Pit. Matt Case, great time. Go Dogs. Ricky Vance saying, hey, we could have played USC again in the Vegas Bowl if they just won a couple more games.
They were 5-7, right?
Yeah,
Not even bowl eligible.
Not bowl eligible,
sorry,
yeah.
sorry,
You
Scott.
want to remind me of that? Yeah. Gerald Pierce saying a total team effort from even the lesser-known players. Jacob Bruno, friend of the program.
Yes, sir.
Still celebrating. Enjoy the ride, guys. And Jay Smolden saying, besides winning, what I enjoyed most was that we were a more physical team than Boise.
Yeah, outside of Alex Madison. Alex Madison was, he was the most physical player Saturday night, but you look at some of the hits he took from Jeff Allison, from Mike Bell, from Michael Walker, KT Yacopo, Kevin Atkins. I mean, this entire defense, they were flying around and they were laying hats on people, and they came to play a physical game. They knew after what Alex Madison did 3 weeks ago in the second half especially, they knew they were going to strap the chin. They had to strap up tight, and they answered that test. Now, Madison found some holes and had a physical game himself, but this defense played physical all night long. I think that was Brett Rippon was a little bit hesitant outside of, the first couple runs on the first couple series. He really didn't want to take the ball down the field because he took a couple shots.
Our man Freddie Franco from Hanford also checking in. How's it going, Freddie? He says, my fave celebration was hearing Pat and Cam after the win. Yeah, mine too. I just heard it again at the beginning of the show, and I loved it. I loved it. All right, let's look ahead now to Arizona State. So the Dogs playing in the Las Vegas Bowl against a team out of the Pac-12 South, and there you see it. The Dogs now up to 21 in the college football playoff ranking at this point. This game played at Sam Boyd Stadium, the home of UNLV, 12:30 p.m. Saturday, December 15th. This game is on ABC. As you can see, Fresno State opened, I think, is a 3.5-point favorite, up to a 4.5-point favorite now. The cool thing about the Las Vegas Bowl these days is it's become a pretty marquee bowl because it's played on the first Saturday of the bowl games. Everybody's been missing college football for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
It's back. It's the game that's, on big national television, on network television. And, a lot of eyeballs are on the Vegas Bowl every year.
Yeah, it's a big-time game. As you said, it kicks off bowl season, but more importantly, it's on ABC. You don't have to have cable to watch ABC. You can have a hanger plugged into an old-school TV, and you can see Channel 30 here in the Valley. So a ton of eyes will be on Fresno State next Saturday, and I think the storylines will be about Fresno State. Fresno State is the story of this game. 11-2, finally beating Boise on the blue turf. They were 1-11 last year, and now they have a chance to win 12 games for the first time in school history. So not only are a lot of eyes going to be on this game, but the storylines will be largely around this Fresno State turnaround. So it's a tremendous opportunity for this football program.
And they're playing a very good opponent here, too, in Arizona State. As we scout the opponent now with that graphic, 7-5, 5-4 in the Pac-12. The perception is the Pac-12 was down a little bit this year, but I think in the middle of the pack there were a lot of teams that were very similar to each other, and they kind of beat up on each other. The Sun Devils come into this having won 4 of their last 5 games to end the season. Look at that stat, though. All 5 of their losses this year were by a touchdown or less. This is big news. Happened yesterday. Junior wide receiver N'Keal Harry, he won't play in this game. So, that's an advantage. That's a break maybe for the Bulldogs right there, because this guy has an NFL body, possible first, maybe early second-round pick in the draft.
He'll be a first-round receiver. Fresno State's lucky not to see him because not only does he have that NFL body, he has some NFL explosiveness to his game.
And a couple guys you need to keep an eye on, too, in their backfield. Manny Wilkins, their quarterback, senior quarterback, and then they've got a running back, Eno Benjamin.
Yeah.
I think he has over 1,500 yards on the ground this year.
Yeah, he's a little bit smaller than Alex Madison, but he's going to bring the same type of physicality, but he has a little bit more explosiveness to his game. He looks like an NFL running back as well. Manny Wilkins is an experienced quarterback. He's got a little dual threat ability. I think he had 8 rushing touchdowns on the season, around 500 yards rushing. So big test for this defense. All year long we've said, what is the one thing that can hurt this defense? And it's a physical run game with multiple weapons. That's what Arizona State brings to the table.
All right, so I always get Cam's keys to winning the next game on deck for Fresno State. And here we go. What are your keys to beating Arizona State?
Number 1, be historic. You just made history Saturday night to beating Boise State on that blue turf. Now you have a chance to win more games than any Fresno State football team has in Fresno State history. So take the energy, the emotion that you played with in that Mountain West title game and take that to Vegas to make history for this Fresno State football game, program. Number 2, match their physicality. We just spoke about that run game. They are physical. Arizona State is on both sides of the ball. They can get after the quarterback. They have 28 sacks on the season. I mean, they were within a touchdown of beating Washington on the road, who ended up winning the Pac-12. They lost to Oregon by 2 on the road. They beat Utah badly at home, who ended up winning the Pac-12 South. So they are a physical football team. Herm Edwards has built them like an NFL program, and they're going to be a very physical matchup. So you have to match their physicality. And then 3, this is going to be, I think this is going to play out like a pro game. I think it's going to be a little bit conservative offensively. There's going to be some deep shots. If you hit one, you're going to score points. If not, I think it's going to be a defensive battle. Fresno State has the advantage in the kicking game. Blake Cusick is an excellent punter, especially at pinning opponents inside the 20. Asa Fuller made 2 big field goals. He has to continue that. I really think whoever wins the kicking game, whoever avoids a mistake for Arizona State being off 3 weeks, for Fresno State being off 2 weeks, whoever avoids a big mistake in the kicking game is going to have a big-time advantage.
Somebody with the last name of Bemis just checked in on the Facebook Live. Susan Bemis.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
she says she's partial, but she loves Cooper Bemis's celebration.
Yeah, go to yourcentralbuy.com and check that out. I'm a big fan.
Pretty special.
Big fan of Susan also, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, Susan, how are you?
Of course, one storyline, Herm Edwards, coach of Arizona State, right? Former NFL guy. You play to win the game. Freddie Franco threw it out there in the comments. Of course, how many play to win the game jokes are we going to get between now and
we'll get quite a few.
15? Yeah,
quite a few. We'll try to avoid them, but there are going to be some out there.
Now, I believe Julia Lopez is going to Las Vegas to cover it for us, and she's gonna be lucky that she has Herm, because I've had the opportunity to interview Herm a couple times, and Herm is just a great interview. I mean, there's probably none that are better.
Yeah, he got paid for a while to be an analyst on ESPN and to sit and give his opinion in front of the camera, so you know he knows how to communicate with the media. It's a little bit different when you're a coach.
Yeah.
You know, you're much more protected. You have a lot more at stake. You have to be more analytical with your approach to how you address questions. But I mean, Herm is Herm. He kind of lays it all out there. You play to win the game is an emotional response to a question, and that's how Herm is. He's pretty genuine. From everybody that I know who played for him who know him, they love Herm Edwards. Love the man that he is, love the coach that he is. Guys love playing for him. He's done a great job of really building a staff with a lot of former NFL players who understand him and how to approach the game. So yeah, it's going to be a fun week for the media to have Herm, especially when you look at Herm and how he's going to speak, and then how Jeff Tedford's going to speak. You're going to have some fun, light answers from Herm. I don't think Jeff Tedford's going to play that game at all.
All business. It's a business trip, you know. You know, we got 28 seniors here for Fresno State, and this will be their last college game, obviously. But my question is maybe some juniors out there for Fresno State. We got a question here from Joey Paredes on Facebook Live. He's asking if you think Jeff Allison is going to be back. Not only with Jeff, but I've heard you mention before, Mike Bell might be a guy who explores the NFL waters. What do you think with some of these guys who might have an NFL future who are juniors at Fresno State?
Yeah, and this is strictly my opinion. I haven't spoken to Mike Bell or Jeff Allison about this, so I don't have any inside information. I think Jeff Allison is going to the NFL draft. I think he's done enough in his career here over the last 2 seasons where he was a starter, a first-team All-Mountain West linebacker last year, Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year this year. He's not going to be Leighton Vander Esch, where he's going to slide into the first round, but Vander Esch was, you know, a 2-year starter, Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year. He goes, and now he's balling for the Cowboys. But Jeff Allison, I think when he gets his grade back, he's going to be nowhere less than a 3rd-round NFL draft pick. And if you're in those top 3 rounds, the way that the rookie wage scale is now, you have to get in early, get that rookie contract over with, and then try to make some big bucks. So I think Jeff Allison's ready. I think he has played enough football where scouts are ready to say he can be an NFL player. And Mike Bell checks all the boxes. Physical, can run, is long, has the size to be an NFL safety. I don't know if he's going to leave or not. I don't know if he is sent out to get a grade. I assume that he did, but it would not surprise me if Mike Bell played his last game as a Bulldog in that Las Vegas Bowl next Saturday.
Bruce Reinhardt checks in with a comment. He says, would like to have played a ranked opponent, not a 7-5, 6th place team from the Pac-12 in the Vegas Bowl. You know, unfortunately, that's just kind of how the Vegas Bowl slots in. And in the modern landscape of college football, The Vegas Bowl is really the best bowl you're going to get as a member of the Mountain West, unless you're able to, be the best conference champion out of the group of 5. So I still think this is a good matchup for Fresno State. I mean, playing a team like Arizona State, who has some history, I think if Fresno State goes out and puts on a good performance against Arizona State, this will really set them up for next year very nicely.
Big time. I mean, big time. Not only do you win 12 games, but Arizona State is a really good football team. I know they're 7-5, but you put the graphic up. They did not lose a game by more than 1 possession. And you could say the Pac-12 is down if you want. The Pac-12 is tough. Every week there are tough matchups. There are guys who are going to play on Sundays on every team in the Pac-12. So they are a good football team. Fresno State goes out and beats Arizona State. It will mean just as much in the national landscape as beating Boise State. That's how Arizona State as a Pac-12 team is viewed. So it's a tremendous opportunity. I agree. I wish Fresno State played, a 9-win Pac-12 team. I think it would be great. And I think Fresno State, if they continue the trajectory they're on, they're going to be in serious consideration every year for that New Year's 6 bowl game, but that's not where they are this year. They're 11-2, Mountain West champions. UCF ran the table. They go to the Vegas Bowl. This is as good as it gets for a bowl game, as you said, for a Mountain West team. There are no other Mountain West teams outside of Boise who is going to travel to Texas, which I know Fresno State fans would not be happy going to Texas to play Boston College. There are no other bowl teams from this conference that are playing Power 5 opponents. So it's an excellent opportunity to back up that UCLA win with a win over another Pac-12 program.
And the nation will be paying attention again on that first Saturday when we're all just starving for football. And here we go. We got the Vegas Bowl at Sam Boyd Stadium. So, Cam, appreciate it. You coming by.
Always fun.
This has been fun all year long. I think we'll try to do one after the Las Vegas Bowl on the Monday after the Las Vegas Bowl. One more Facebook Live. And, of course, we'll have Cam on Sunday night after the Las Vegas Bowl on the Bulldog Insider to break down everything that happened and maybe look ahead to next year a little bit as well. And, I mean, it's good times to be a Fresno State football fan. And we can't talk about it enough. It's a lot of fun to talk about.
It is. I mean, we wouldn't be doing Facebook Live 2 years ago. It was tough to come on the Bulldog Insider 2 years ago. I mean, it really was tough to find things to talk about. And just if you ever feel like this is not what you think it should be or they should do more, think back to where you were thinking 2 years ago. It's been a tremendous turnaround. I'm having so much fun. I've never had more fun, outside of being a player around a football program. Great kids, great coaches, good people all around this Fresno State football program, and they've done historic things. It is an awesome time to be a Fresno State football fan. And if you can make it, that Vegas Bowl is going to be a ton of fun. They always do a great job with the game. And one last chance to see Marcus McMaryion, the all-time leading receiver, Keyshawn Johnson. Probably the last chance you'll have to see Jeff Allison in the Fresno State uniform, but a lot of seniors and maybe a couple of juniors playing their last game as a Bulldog and with a chance to win 12 games for the first time in program history.
Who doesn't want to go to Vegas over the holidays?
Right?
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Put some NFL bets down because it's legal out there.
It's legal, yeah. Make a little extra
Shoot
money.
some dice if you
table.
like.
There you go. Absolutely, absolutely. And if you can't make it to the game, though, you can always listen to it on 940 ESPN and catch Cam's calls. Maybe another yeah baby will come out during the Las Vegas Bowl. We can only hope. We can only hope as fans. Again, thanks for joining us on here on Facebook Live. Thanks for the comments and the questions, and we will see you next time on Facebook Live. Go Dogs.